that's made it to our community today. His name is Christopher Hale. He is running for election for the Democratic Party for the U.S. House to represent the Tennessee 4th Congressional District. Am I correct, sir?
That's correct. Thank you for having me here today. I'm glad to be here.
Well, thanks so much. First of all, Mr. Hale, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure. I grew up in native Tennessee, and I'm from Rutherford County originally. Went to public schools my entire high school, entire childhood. And then at 18, like a lot of folks from the suburbs of Nashville, I wanted to explore the world. So I went to the most exciting place I could find for college, which for me was Ohio. And for me, Cincinnati might as well have been New York City. But I had a chance in school. I was inspired by a skinny guy of a funny name who was running for office then. So I shipped out and went to Iowa and had a chance to work for President Obama, then Senator Obama, and begin my trek in politics, knocking on doors in an Iowa blizzard. After the president was elected and I finished college, I went to go and work for him at the White House. In the White House, I really focused on outreach to Republicans, to conservatives. Me and Speaker John Boehner went to the same university, so I had that natural in. And then later, I ran a faith-based nonprofit that worked in that gritty and uncomfortable intersection of religion and politics. So the best way to describe me in my history is I'm a Democrat who spent my time in conservative areas of this country. I've been a regular contributor on Fox News. I've been making Democratic arguments to conservative places. But I also am someone who helps the Democratic Party understand better the rural and red areas of this country. So I view myself as a bridge builder. But to me, this election against Congressman DesJarlais, I do expect to win the primary. I think I will be the candidate. I'm running against a socialist. She's a good woman, but I'm a Democrat, a lifelong Democrat, a proud Democrat. My opponent, Congressman DesJarlais, before the virus came, he did nothing to take action on it. He's been deluged by scandal. People get uncomfortable, but I want to name the three-part scandal. He pressured his ex-wife, his mistresses, into 3 abortions. He illegally prescribed painkillers to a third mistress, and he was reprimanded by the state medical board. And he pulled a gun and dry fired it on his ex-wife. These are 3 scandals that have been reviewed. They're in the Marion County Courthouse. They're publicly known, and it's caused our congressman, to withdraw from public life. He's overwhelmed by scandal. And he's someone who has not stepped up and taken action. A nickname you might call him is Do Nothing DesJarlais. In a decade in the swamp, we paid him $1.7 million, and the only thing he's gotten us in that time period is a renamed post office. So my question for your listeners today is, do you like your return on your investment? Do you like the fact that you spent $1.7 million and got the renamed post office? Do you like the fact that this man who voted against President Trump's 3-part bill to give free testing to our community for the virus test, to get paid sick leave so that we don't have to go to work sick during this coronavirus? Do you like the fact that he voted against them on the small business stimulus that's keeping many companies, perhaps even here, alive? So Congressman DesJarlais, as Do Nothing DesJarlais, he's done nothing to fight for our communities and our families. I am, and I will. So that's my basic argument. But I'm glad to take any questions that you might have going my way.
Well, first of all, to kind of walk us through, again, we're speaking with Christopher Hale. He's running for U.S. Congress on the Democratic ticket, hoping to be on the primary ticket on August the 6th, be the representative for the Democratic Party. And tell us a little bit about, the 2 hot topics that's on everybody's mind right now. That's just normal folks going out there working day in, day out. Is the pandemic.
Sure.
How do you think Congress has handled that? What do you think we could have done a little bit better? What are we needing to do to move forward? Those type things.
Well, number one, let's actually talk about the showing up aspect of the pandemic. Let's go in particular. 2 weeks ago, the United States Congress attempted to pass a very expensive bill with a lot of giveaways to corporations, to things that did not matter. But I think what should bother your listeners right now is where was Congressman DesJarlais the day that vote happened? He was at home. He was at home here in Tennessee because during the middle of a pandemic, a medical doctor who took the Hippocratic oath to do no harm, decided to get an elective knee surgery, a taxpayer-funded knee surgery in the middle of the pandemic. And so his vote on that was not applicable. He didn't show up. I think that the focus should be on getting resources to individuals and families. Too much of the bills have been riddled with giveaways. The Democrats tried to pass a bill that gave $25 million to the Kennedy Center. It's absurd. To me, we need direct stimulus, direct money to the American people and to small businesses and start there. But of course, we need to get the second part is Tennesseans don't want handouts. They want to get back to work. And what we need to do on this second part is we need to have a public health agenda that focuses on three parts to me. Number one, every Tennessean should get access to a free virus test overnight in the mail that they can have access to and test themselves and find out whether or not they're safe. Number two, we need contact tracing. This should not be run by big tech firms or by the government alone. It should be public-private partnerships, but we should be able to know that our communities are safe. And finally, we need public health campaigns that focus on preventative tips. We need PPE to every Tennessean. The sock masks the governor put out, which have pesticides in them, that are not health driven. He gave an $8 million contract, no big contract, to his friends out in North Carolina. We can make those in our communities and give that money back to Tennesseans. So here's the bottom line. We need direct aid to the American people, not to corporations that ship our jobs overseas. And we need public health practices that can ensure that Tennesseans can go back to work safely. Congressman DesJarlais, before the virus came, he did nothing to stop it. Even though he was in a position to do so, he voted against the pandemic response team. And now that it's here, he's doing nothing to help us. I will fight on the average Tennessean, ensuring that we have health, income, and jobs.
What about the thing that's went on in the last week in the media, with the riots and the protests and things like that? Here in the state of Tennessee, which is what we're talking about, is, we've had peaceful gatherings. We've had some not so peaceful. What would be your message if you could speak to every Tennessean about what is going on right now? We know people have that amendment right to get out there and do their protests, but what would you say to those maybe not doing it in the best interest?
Well, number one, first and foremost, George Floyd was murdered. There's no doubt about it. Even the president of the United States says that he was murdered. Democrats and Republicans agree on that. Number two, we agree it's injustice. I think it's fine to march. I think it's morally appropriate to march within the guidelines put forth by the White House and the federal government on social distancing. I do not condone the destruction of property. However, I do not also condone politicians conflating peacegoers. I was at a rally yesterday in Murfreesboro. We began with 30 minutes of prayer. The Lord Jesus was on everyone's lips for 30 minutes. We gathered peacefully. We gathered as people of faith, as Christians, as people of faith, to protest what had happened to George Floyd and lift up justice and mercy and what the Bible teaches us in the Gospel of St. Matthew. That is not what happened in Nashville, and we have to distinguish those. And the latter is something that we can lift up and praise and the government support. The former is something we can condemn. And politicians need to understand that nuance. And for me, I will encourage the latter and denounce the former.
Good stuff there. Okay. Again, we're speaking with Christopher Hale, running for U.S. Congress. If you could say there's three things, three things that always comes to your mind when you're out talking to the community, that this says these three things are a must for this society, this country, to move forward. Give me that 1, 2, and 3.
So I'm going to talk specifically about Bradley County in this context and Cleveland. To me, the three issues I hear from this community time and again is healthcare, education, and jobs. But obviously, all three of those have been in the context of COVID-19. Let's talk about healthcare. We have 300,000 Tennesseans without healthcare that can be covered today by the federal government. We've already written the check. You've written the check. But Governor Lee has said no to receiving this health care. Here's the reality of it. When a citizen in Bradley County cannot afford health care and they go to the hospital by federal law, they are required to be treated. They will bankrupt on that bill, but guess who pays for it? You and your family. So if we do not take care of the healthcare crisis, particularly in the rural areas of Southeast Tennessee, it will bankrupt us. So expanding Medicaid will save rural hospitals. It will save taxpayer dollars, and most importantly, it will save human lives. Second thing is we need to talk about good jobs and living wages. I'm 31 years old. I don't know, I'm graying perhaps a little bit, but the minimum wage has not been changed since I was 16. It's $7.25 an hour and it has not gone up. $7.25 an hour ain't going to do it. Ain't going to do it for many parts of this community. We need to raise the living minimum wage in this state. I think we should do it through federal action first and foremost, because Tennessee says that the federal minimum wage is their minimum wage, and that's fine. So it makes the U.S. Congress to do it. And third is we need to talk about good jobs. We need to invest in rural Tennessee. thing that's the problem with my party is obsessed with suburban and urban areas. When we invest in cities, we invest in suburbs. I'm a Democrat who wants to invest in suburban and rural communities that have been left out and left behind. I'm a Democrat who gives a damn about rural America and is going to put it first and foremost. And that's what I really want to do in the United States Congress.
Well, Christopher Hale, you got about 1 more minute left. Whatever you want the community voters to know, what would be that spill here in your closing arguments?
Absolutely. I've spent my life standing up to the bullies and fighting for the forgotten. I want to talk in particular to the Republicans, particular to the supporters of President Trump. My campaign is full of Trump Hale voters because they know, like the president, I fight. I'm a fighter. And my allegiance is not to any party first and foremost, it's to you and your families. Congressman DesJarlais has been deluged by scandal, and he's not fighting for anyone but himself. In the midst of this pandemic, he decided to get a knee surgery and not go to work. And you want to go to work, and I will work for you. If you want to hear more about my campaign, I ask you, go to my website, go to ChristopherHale.com. You can learn about who I am, who I love, what I've spent my life fighting for, and what I'll do for you and your family. And if you want to get involved, you can do that. You can learn about what we're doing. And I'm telling you, to every Tennessean who's struggling today, whether from this deadly virus, the inability to find good work, a dim past, or a checkered past, or a dim future, I want you to know something. I'll walk with you the entire way, and help is on the way.
Christopher Hale running for U.S. Congress on the Democratic Party as he's looking for you to vote him for the primary on August the 6th. Mr. Hale, it's very nice to meet you. Thanks for coming by and telling our voters here in Tennessee and particularly Bradley County what's going on.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. We'll be back here to Mix 104.1 in just a moment.